Hello yogis, welcome back to my dining room. Welcome to Nava Yoga. My name is Alyson and I'm excited to be bringing another class to you today. So I hope you're hanging in there all right and everything's going at least. That's kind of the best we can hope for right now, I suppose. All right, so today I would say have your one and only yoga prop be your remote or whatever you're using to kind of pause or start me here. So what I want to do is we'll do a great flow class. So if you're looking for like solid start to finish flow class like you would in the studio, great, gotcha, I'm right there with you. And if you got a little more time and you want to play around a little bit more, I'll give you some opportunities to maybe hit the pause button and kind of keep playing, keep practicing kind of certain elements of this to sort of help build and grow your own practice. It's kind of the great thing about this distributed asynchronous format that we're working with. You're really in control and can devote as much or as little time as you have for it. So today I want to work on a couple different arm balances, and there's something that we can fit them into a flow class, which is what I'm going to do for you. But if you're newer to them or you really just want to kind of hone in and refine, you'll have those opportunities as well. So just hang in there with me. We're gonna roll through it, and it should be good. And if you're not at all interested in arm balances, no worries. It's like 3 arm balancing poses in the mix of a whole lot of other poses. All right, so let's get started with a comfortable seated position. So I always like to move the flesh out from underneath my hips. Kind of any simple cross-legged position will do. Then sit up straight and tall. Maybe shrug your shoulders up towards your ears just to kind of slide them down along your back. Lift up through the center of your chest, but tuck your belly in so you're not like really lifting too far forward, right? So you should feel like your spine is nice and straight and strong. Rest your palms on your knees. They can be face up or face down. And then I invite you to close your eyes. Bring your attention and bring your awareness to your breath. Without trying to make it be anything special, just take notice. Throughout all this craziness, throughout all these crazy kind of tricky poses that we'll play with today, we want to see if we can still take notice of our breath. It's definitely a tall order. So we'll mark the beginning of our practice with the sound of 1 Om. I invite you to sing along or listen and receive. Start with an inhale. Go ahead and gently blink your eyes open. All right, come forward onto your hands and your knees. I gotta scooch back a little bit here. And we'll set up a good foundation here to start. So spread your fingers, kind of want the maximum space in between each finger. And turn your hands out slightly so your index fingers point straight ahead. You want to have your wrists underneath your shoulders, and then make sure your knees are underneath your hips and about hips distance apart there. We'll start with a few simple rounds of cat and cow pose. So drop your belly, arch your back, look up between your eyebrows for cow. Then round your spine, gaze back towards your belly button, press the floor, press your mat away. Alternate between these two, cat and cow pose. And then see if you can link that movement with your breath. So do 1 on the inhale, 1 on the exhale. This makes a nice warm up for our spine. At least, I don't know when you're watching this, but the last few days for me have been kind of dreary and rainy. So been a lot more inside, a lot more hunched over a laptop for sure on my couch. So we want to really just bring that gentle movement through the spine here. Then when you've done an equal number of cats and cows, I got to do 1 more cat. Come to a neutral spine. So make your back flat, neither arched nor rounded. And even here, pull that belly and tuck it in slightly. Then stretch your feet out behind you, tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back, come to downward facing dog. This is the first down dog of your practice. Feel free to pedal out through your heels, maybe sway your hips. Move in any way that kind of feels good, right? Feels like your body's kind of calling for it. Find those nice stretchy points. Breathe here. And once again, check in with your hands. Like I said, we're going to play with a few arm balances today, and one of those big principles that we need to really hone in on is having that strong foundation. So anytime your hands are touching the mat, you want to really maximize the space between your fingers
press your fingertips down into the mat and really feel like you got a good solid grip. Breathe here. Then come forward to the top of plank pose. Bring your shoulders over your wrists. Lower your knees, your chest, and your chin down onto the mat. So you're in this kind of weird baby inchworm pose. Slide forward and up, baby cobra. And then tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back for downward facing dog. Let's do one more like that. Come forward into plank. Lower knees, chest, and chin down to the mat. Slide forward and up. And tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back. Downward facing dog. So that's our little vinyasa sequence. And we'll use that a good bit throughout class. Now walk your feet forward to meet your hands. Come to a standing forward fold. So you can take your feet about hip distance apart here for this one and maybe even go a little bit wider. Give those hamstrings, like the back of your legs, a chance to really stretch out and open up. Rest your palms on something, and the floor is a great option. If you have blocks, you can always use blocks in these standing forward folds, or any kind of makeshift items you got as well. We've had some good suggestions floating around there as well. Of course, you can always bend your knees as much as you need to. Totally fair. Always works, just kind of find your perfect fit here. And on your inhale, reach your arms up overhead, look up, stretch up. I'm gonna be out of this shot, no worries. Then let's go ahead and fold forward. Bring your hands back down to the mat. Bring your palms to shins, look up, flat back. Place your hands down, step back to the top of plank. You're welcome to lower knees, chest, and chin, or if you wanna work on a chaturanga here, I recommend kind of this super go forward so you can bend your elbows and make that 90-degree angle with your elbows. Either way, forward and up. Tuck your toes, lift your hips. Downward facing dog. So let's all take another chaturanga here and kind of check in with this. So we move through, come forward into plank. We move through chaturanga a lot, especially as we're flowing. And I'll be honest, my first few chaturangas started out great. By the end of class, they're more like a controlled belly flop. So one thing I learned from one of my teachers is this notion of super go forward. You want to almost create this 90-degree bend in your elbows. So it's super go forward, so you can bend your elbows, squeeze them in, pull your shoulders onto your back. Lift it up. Tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. So focus on that action as we move through these chaturangas, right? The notion of kind of really going forward so you get that nice 90-degree bend in your elbows. On your next inhale, walk your feet forward to meet your hands, standing forward fold. Your choice, feet together or feet hips distance apart, whatever feels appropriate for your practice. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead, look up, stretch up. Let's go right back into it. Bend at your hips, fold forward. Palms to shins, look up, lengthen, flat back. Bend your knees, place your hands down on the mat, step to the top of plank pose. You're welcome to take a knees, chest, chin, or go for that chaturanga again. Super go forward, bend your elbows out to the side, and forward and up for up dog or cobra, and back to downward facing dog. Breathe here. On your next inhale, walk your feet forward, standing forward fold. As you inhale, reach your arms up overhead, look up, stretch up. And let's bend at the hips once again, fold forward. Palms to chins, look up, lengthen, flat back. Place your hands down on the mat, step to the top of plank. Make this intentional, either knees, chest, chin, or go for the chaturanga. Slide it forward. Up dog or cobra. And back to downward facing dog. Breathe here. On your next inhale, walk your feet forward, back to a standing forward fold. This thing, you'll throw your feet out about as wide as a mat, maybe even a little bit wider. This mat is actually kind of skinny. And turn your toes out on an angle. So instead of pointing straight ahead, they're turned out on an angle. Then Bend your knees, sit your hips down low. Come to a Molasana. You can bring your palms together at the center of your chest. They can help with support as well. And you can always sit on something as well. So it's a little early in our practice. It might feel like a really tight Molasana. No worries. We're going to do a couple of these. So hopefully they'll feel a little bit different as we go on. Breathe here. All right, remember this pose. We'll be back here. Straighten your legs, fold forward. Heel toe your feet back together. And as you inhale, reach your arms up overhead, look up, stretch up, and bring your hands down by your side. This time, bend your knees, sit your hips down low so your fingertips just touch down on the mat. Reach your arms up alongside your ears for Utkatasana chair pose. Draw your belly in, sit your hips down a little bit lower. Breathe here. Then straighten your legs, fold forward. Palms to shins, come to a flat back. Place your hands down on the mat, step to the top of plank pose. Your choice, knees, chest, chin, or nice intentional chaturanga. Slide forward and up. Tuck your toes, lift your hips. Downward facing dog. Right away, lift your right leg up. Step your right foot forward in between your hands. Stay on the, spin the back heel down on the mat. We'll do a traditional warrior one, Virabhadrasana one. Bring your hands down on either side of your front foot. Step back to the top of plank. Move through that vinyasa. You can always skip it and meet us in downward facing dog. But right away, we'll lift the left leg up. Step your left foot forward in between your hands. Spin your right heel down. Reach your arms up alongside your ears. Virabhadrasana one, second side. Place your hands down and back on the mat. Step back, move through that vinyasa. Or skip it. Either way, we'll meet in downward facing dog. Breathe here. Then walk your feet forward to meet your hands. Back to that standing forward fold. Let's do the standing forward fold first here. I'm already one pose ahead of myself. Then walk your feet out as wide as your mat, maybe a little bit wider. Turn your toes out on an angle and set up for another yogi squat, Molasana. So we've been here before, right? Not too long ago. This time, if you are bringing your palms together, press them together, press your arms into your legs, and then squeeze your legs back into your arms. So it might feel like maybe your arms and your legs are doing a little bit more, and maybe taking some of that focus, or at least, your own attention away from your hips. So squeeze your knees into your arms, resist against it with your arms, and breathe. On your inhale, straighten your legs, fold forward, heel toe your feet back into your big toe. Maybe you bring your big toes to touch. There's a little space between your heels. Hips distance apart is fine as well. So you inhale, reach your arms up overhead, look up, stretch up, and bring your arms down by your side. Bend your knees, touch your fingertips down, reach your arms up, Utkatasana chair pose. Straighten your legs, fold forward. Bring your palms to shins, look up, flat back. Place your hands down on the mat, step to the top of plank pose. Make it that nice, good chaturanga. Slide forward and up. Tuck your toes, lift your hips. Downward facing dog. Right away, lift your right leg up. Step your right foot forward in between your hands. Spin that back heel down. You got it. Reach your arms up alongside your ears. Bring your hands back down to the mat. Step back to the top of plank pose. And it's that chaturanga with that super go forward. Slide forward and up. Tuck your toes, lift your hips. Down dog. Let's do the left side. Lift your left leg up. Step your left foot forward in between your hands. Spin your right heel down. Reach your arms up. Warrior one, second side. Bring your hands back to the mat. Step to the top of plank. Move through vinyasa. Can always skip those vinyasas. Either way, we'll meet in downward facing dog. Breathe here. On your next inhale, we'll walk your feet forward, come back to our standing forward fold. You choose the distance between your feet. And breathe. Once again, let's come into that Malasana. So separate your feet, hips distance apart, a little bit wider, as wide as your mat, maybe even wider. Bend your knees, sit your hips down low, bring your palms to touch. So we can do that same thing. If you like that action of squeezing your arms into your legs and your legs into your arms, that's a great option and really builds a lot of foundational skills here. Also try this, draw your belly and lift up through the center of your chest. Maybe lift your hips up a little bit so you can get a little more lift, a little more strength here in this pose. You got it. All right, straighten your legs, fold forward, walk those feet back in, standing forward fold. Breathe here. On your inhale, reach your arms up overhead, look up, stretch up, and Tadasana with your arms by your side. Bend your knees, sit your hips down low like you're sitting in the most useless chair. Reach your arms up alongside your ears for chair pose, right? Why not? Then straighten your legs, fold forward. Bring your palms to shins, look up, flat back. Bend your knees, place your hands down on the mat, step to the top of plank pose. If you're doing a chaturanga, don't forget to super go forward, bend your elbows, and come forward and up for up dog. And up and back for downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up. Step your right foot forward in between your hands, left heel down on the mat, and reach your arms up alongside your ears. Breathe. Cheetah breath in there. Bring your hands down on either side of your front foot. Step to the top of plank, lower down, lift back up, and back to downward facing dog. We'll add that bonus breath on the second side. Lift your left leg up. Step your left foot forward in between your hands. Spin your right heel down. Reach your arms up alongside your ears. Awesome work. Bring your hands back to the mat. Step to the top of plank pose. Move through that vinyasa. You always have the option of skipping it because you know we're going to wind up in downward facing dog. Breathe. You're welcome to take a child's pose here if you'd like. All right, on your next inhale, walk your feet forward to meet your hands. Come to a standing forward fold. Then separate your feet, hips distance apart. You know we're going into that Malasana. Bend your knees, hips down low, palms together, lift up through the center of your chest. Maybe squeeze your legs in, maybe resist with your arms. You're welcome to play here, or add a little something. Bring your left hand down to the mat, or down to the floor outside of your mat, and lift your right arm up. Go for a little bit of a twist. Strong core, strong belly. Breathe here, you got it. Your arms are up, bring back to center, reset, find center, then go the other way. Right hand down to the mat, twist the other way, lift your left arm up. You got it. You can gaze up towards your top arm. Bring your hands back to center. You did it. Straighten your legs. Fold forward. Walk your feet back in. Let it go. Shake it out. Let your head hang heavy. Maybe grab a hold of the opposite elbows. Kind of let your head, your neck, your torso just sort of hang heavy over your legs. All right, then release your hands out. Let's finish the flow. Reach your arms up overhead, look up, stretch up, and bring your hands down by your side for Tadasana, mountain pose. All right, so let's play with our first little option for play here. Sorry, I'll come down so you guys can see me. So yeah, come back down to your mat, kind of crouch down is a good place to start. We're gonna do a crow pose. So if arm bounces are totally not your thing, keep rocking those Malasanas right here. I gave you a good couple of variations. Keep playing with them. I'm gonna give you a few options to play with crow pose as well. So traditionally, we kind of go, well, any which way. Let's start from here. That great foundation. So spread your fingers wide, Maximize the space in between those fingers and make sure your index fingers are pointing straight ahead. So you want those great big hands like tiger paws, right? And then traditionally we say get your knees up above your elbows. So they're going up towards your armpits, or anywhere really above your elbows works. Anything with these arm balances, your arms, your upper arms become like a shelf. So you gotta get them above your elbows and up on that shelf. Another way to play, I'll show you this way first actually, is to do that same action we did in Malasana of squeezing in with your legs and resisting against with your arms, right? So it's kind of like you're using your arms like a thigh master. You're squeezing in with your legs and resisting against with your arms. So again, you still gotta go above those elbows because your elbows gotta bend back behind you like they do in Chaturanga. So try that. Get your knees high up on your upper arms, wide out to the side. You can mostly see it, right? But I'm going on the outer edge of my arms rather than the back of my arms. Squeeze them in, bend your elbows back behind you, squeeze in with your legs, resist with your arms. Maybe one foot lifts, maybe the other foot lifts, but squeeze in with your legs like a lot. Yes, you got it. Play there. So this is an option, right? If you want to keep playing, go ahead and hit pause, play around with it. I'll show you another option as well. And if you're concerned about face planting, I'll be honest, I'm really hoping I don't do it here in the video. Grab all your couch cushions, go ahead and make yourself a landing pad. This is really, your practice, set up your studio any way you'd like. All right, so the other variation we do a lot of crow pose is getting your knees up on your upper arms. It'd be a little bit tricky to balance that way because you're kind of stacking bone on bone, which is a weird thing. So you want to really use your belly, really use your core, and squeeze it in to help hold it there in place. And we'll do plenty more core here today as well. So if you're going for that variation, you want to get your knees high on your upper arms. I really try to target my armpits almost, like really high up there. So get them high above your elbows, and then it's that same action of kind of tipping forward, super go forward. Maybe one foot lifts, maybe the other foot lifts. So tip it forward. The more you make your arms like a shelf, the more your legs are going to be able to rest on that shelf. So go ahead, give it a shot. If you want to keep playing here, go ahead, hit pause and come back when you're ready. If you're ready to keep moving on, let's take a down dog. Yeah. Find a rinse cycle on this one. Make your way to downward facing dog. No great exit, no great sequence there to get there. You want to move through a little vinyasa. Go for it. And when you're ready, we'll take that downward facing dog. Breathe here. If you've lost that connection with your breath, find it again. Then when you're ready, lift your right leg up. Step your right foot forward in between your hands. Spin your back heel down on the mat. Reach your arms up alongside your ears for warrior one. Bend deep into your front knee. Pull your right hip back or your left hip more forward. Draw your belly in. Then open your arms out into warrior two. And I always hate that transition between warrior one to warrior two because I always got to adjust my back foot. So adjust yourself into your warrior two. I recommend lining up the heel of your front foot with your back inner arch. Bend deep into your front knee, squeeze your shoulders towards each other, and reach your fingertips out away from one another. Breathe. Then straighten your front leg. Reach towards the top of your mat. Place your bottom hand down to the floor. It can come to your shin. If you got a block handy, a shoebox, a book, one of those empty cans of Clorox wipes, right? Whatever you got, it's your makeshift prop. Go for it. Press from your bottom hand, reach out through your top arm, and gaze up towards the ceiling. On your inhale, come on back up. Bend back into your front knees. You're back here in warrior two. We're passing through. Flip your front palm up. Reach up and back. Find reverse warrior. On your inhale, come on back up. Straighten your front leg. Actually, bring your hands to your hips. Let's do that with our arms. Then turn both toes so they're parallel to one another. And kind of got to readjust as needed. That's it. I like this. So your feet are parallel with one another, toes turn in ever so slightly. And let's do this. Oh. Let's fix her straight here. Interlace your hands behind your low back. And first, bend your elbows a lot so you really get the heels of your palms to touch. So you get that great, like you really could like squeeze, I don't know, like a lemon or an orange or something in between your palms. Really press it together. Then squeeze your shoulders towards each other, step 2. So step 1 is squeeze the palms. Step 2, squeeze your shoulders. Then go a little bit more towards straight. Avoid locking into your elbows. So it's less about how straight you get your arms, more about how much you squeeze your palms and squeeze your shoulders towards each other. Then bend at your hips, add a forward fold. If you'd like to just work that shoulder stretch and it's easier to do so standing up, totally get you, right? As soon as we're upside down, a lot of times things sort of become something different. So really I want to focus on the shoulder stretch here. This is just a nice way to tie it into a flow. So squeeze your shoulders together, squeeze your palms together, and play with kind of keeping that little bit of bend in your elbows so you can isolate the shoulders here as well. Breathe. Awesome. Release your hands, bring them down to the mat. Maybe take another deep forward fold here. Focus this time on your legs. Keep a little bend in your legs. Spin your inner thighs back behind you. All right, totally weird transition here. So you're gonna turn your right toes towards the front of the mat and walk your hands forward. Come onto the ball of your back foot. So it's kind of like a big giant pivot. We're setting up for a lizard pose here. So you can always drop the back knee down. So if I lost you, you're both your hands inside of your right foot. Right foot's forward, left knee is down, and everything's inside of that right knee. So we're here in lizard pose. Let's play with some variations on this. Here's a good starting point with your palms and your knee down on the mat. You can play with pressing through your back leg and lifting that back knee. You can also play with coming down onto your forearms. So anywhere in between is fine. You can always bring your forearms to blocks or whatever you're using for blocks. Your back knee can be up or down, just not really anywhere in between. Breathe here. We're gonna do a couple of different variations on lizard. So play around with this one, see if you need to kind of adjust or tweak to find an option that works best for you. You should feel a little bit of a stretch through your hips here. Maybe you feel a lot of it of a stretch through your hips here. Walk your hands back up if they're up, knee down if it's up. Either way, we're kind of just stepping back to downward facing dog from this one. So any which way you get there, adjust as you need to. Take that little vinyasa as a rinse cycle. And we'll meet back in downward facing dog. Breathe here. On your next inhale, lift your right leg up. Step your right foot forward in between, I'm sorry, that's your left foot. Step your left foot forward in between your hands. Spin your right heel down on the mat. Find warrior one, second side. So whatever side you did before, do the opposite side now. It tends to be the pattern in yoga. I'm giving you all the secrets. Breathe here. Square your hips towards the front of your mat on this one. And take another breath. And open up to warrior two. So adjust that back foot as you need to. Find your stance. It's not seamless, that's okay. Bend deep into your front knee. Square your hips towards the long edge of your mat this time. Shrug your shoulders away from your ears so they're not up here. Bring them down. Reach your fingertips out. Breathe here. All right, now straighten your front leg. Reach forward, go for Trikonasana. Bottom hand down to the floor, to a block, to your shin, ankle, calf, thigh. Rest it on something, but otherwise, as long as it's not your knee, it should be good. You want to make connection with something so you can press from the bottom and reach through your top arm. Breathe. Awesome, come on back up. Bend back into your front knee, flip your front palm, keep your legs, switch arms. Reverse warrior.
Come on back up to stand, hands on your hips. We're gonna basically repeat this pose kind of in its exact same shape and form. Another chance for success on this one. So bring your feet to the parallel. Interlace your hands behind your low back. Maybe take that other thumb on top, that awkward thumb that never gets to go on top. I don't know why you don't give that one a chance, right? Take the other thumb on top. Squeeze your palms towards each other, then squeeze your shoulders towards each other. And as much bend as in your elbows is totally fine. It's less about getting your arms straight, more about feeling the stretch through your shoulders here. Squeeze them in, lift up through the center of your chest, squeeze through your shoulders. Then bend at your hips. If you'd like to add the forward fold here, go for it. But instead, right, here I'm doing it. Don't lock out through your elbows. Keep that little bit of bend. So here it's like, no. Here's, yep. Keep that little bit of bend in your elbows. Will be healthier and nicer on your joints. Release your hands down to the mat. Focus a little bit of this forward fold on the legs. Bend your knees slightly. Spin your inner thighs back behind you. Anytime your hands are down on the mat, get into practice of making that a good foundation, right? So we're not really weight bearing much on the hands here, but still make that a good solid connection with the mat. All right, then turn towards the front of your mat. So you're gonna pivot on your feet, crawl yourself forward, and bring both arms, both hands inside of your left foot, and you can bring your right knee down on the mat. Then you're gonna find your variation of lizard pose here, and it could be the same or it could be different than it was on the other side. So you kind of have to play around. I'll walk you through the options. Back knee can be down, back knee can be up. You can stay up on your palms, and they can come down on your forearms. And if you have blocks and you kind of want to put them on blocks, that works too. Breathe here. All right, lower that back knee down. Come back up onto your hands. Make your way out of this pose and to a downward facing dog. If you'd like to take a vinyasa, take a vinyasa. All right, so I promised you a little bit of core work, or maybe you don't know I promised you a little bit of core work. There is going to be a little bit of core work going on here, so either way, lift your right leg up, come forward into plank, around your spine, knee to nose, hollow out your belly, pull that right knee in and up, send it up and back. This time, right knee, right shoulder, lift it up high, strong core, strong belly, it's core work, yes, you got it, send it up and back. This time, cross it across your body, so right knee, left elbow, pull it in, maybe left shoulder, how high can you get it? Send it up and back. Do one more in the middle, round your spine, knee to nose, hollow out your belly, then step your right foot down on the mat. Whew, good work. Let's do another lizard pose here. So let's heel toe your right foot out to the side. Your left knee can be down. And this time I'm gonna say, we're gonna get a little more playful on this one. So walk it out, maybe even a little bit further. And then we're gonna see how much of us we can crawl under that right leg. Believe it or not, more than you think, right? So take a hold of like the back of your leg, back of your ankle, back of your calf, and you're gonna try to work your shoulder underneath your leg. Get close, even if it's not going all the way under, totally fine. Get as much of it as you can. And maybe you keep your hand on the back of your leg, place it down on the mat. Back knee can be down or up, but I would suggest keeping that back knee down here. Maybe come down onto the forearm of your left arm as well. So again, I'll show you that one again. So we're just going to work that shoulder underneath our leg. If you'd rather just take a lizard pose like we did before, forget about the crawling under your leg option, totally fair. On your inhale, navigate the way out of this pose and back to downward facing dog. Move through vinyasa, meet us in down dog. You're always welcome to take a child's pose as well.
Lift your left leg up. Round your spine, knee to nose, pull your belly in. Then lift your left leg up and back. Let's go left knee, left shoulder, left elbow. How high can you get it? Lift it up high. Send it up and back. Cross it across your body. Left knee, right shoulder, right elbow. What do you got? Pull it in, draw your belly in. Send it up and back. One more in the middle, round your spine, knee to nose, pull your belly in. You got it, then step it down on the mat. Heel toe your left foot out to the left, drop your right knee down. So again, set up your variation of lizard pose. It can be the one we first started with, or we can play with what we did on the right side. To do that, we need a little more space. So heel toe your left foot out to the left. Take your left hand, grip behind your left leg, calf, ankle, whatever you got, and begin to kind of work your shoulder underneath. So it's not, your whole shoulder is not going to fit underneath. You want to get that action of really kind of coming forward into that leg. Maybe your hand stays on the back of your leg. Maybe you reach it out to the side. Breathe here. Whew, okay. And see what you want to do with that right arm. It can be down, it can be up. Either way, if you're working any variation of lizard, you're building on what we need to build on for this class, and you're getting a great hip stretch. Wherever you are, it's probably great yoga. Make your way out of this pose. Make your way back to downward facing dog. And if you'd like to take a vinyasa, take a vinyasa. Breathe here. And on your next inhale, walk your feet forward to meet your hands. Come to a standing forward fold. And on your inhale, reach your arms up overhead and down by your side for Tadasana. So you're here in Tadasana. Put a little bit of bendiness, a little bit of springiness in your legs. Then lift your right leg up. Cross your right leg over your left. Either tuck your toes in close towards your leg or snuggle them behind. So you got your right leg over. Bring your arms out like a cactus. Then bring your right arm underneath your left. And you can press the back of your palms together or the front of your palms together. So we got right leg over, right arm under, or at least remember this combination so you can do the opposite on the other side. Draw your belly in here, squeeze your legs together, squeeze your arms together, and pull your elbows and your shoulders away from your ears. Breathe. Then untwist, unwind, reach your right leg back behind you, reach your arms alongside your ears reach your arms alongside your body. They can be alongside your ears as well, that airplane pose. Bring your hands down onto the mat, lift your right leg up a little bit higher, find standing split. Then bend your standing leg, bend your right leg, and you're gonna kind of reach your right knee towards the outer edge of your left foot. Come to sit. I'm actually going to just scooch closer to you guys here. So you're coming to sit. You got your left foot down on the mat, left knee up, right leg down on the mat. You can also do this like this with the right leg straight. Sit up straight. And now let's do a little twist here. So bring your right hand back behind you, reach your left arm up, press your left elbow into your left knee and gaze out over your right shoulder. Breathe here. Come on back to center. Good news is we're sitting. Uncross your legs. Balance on your butt and lift your knees. Reach your arms out alongside. So you're here in Navasana, boat pose. You can see how dirty the bottoms of my feet might be. Draw your belly in, lift through the center of your chest, reach out through your arms. You gotta keep the belly nice and strong. Lower your legs down so they hover, and lift them back up. Exhale as you lower. Inhale as you lift. Exhale as you lower. Inhale as you lift. We'll do a few more like this. 2 more. And you got 1 more, make it count. Woo! Good work. Place your feet on the mat, make your way to downward facing dog. The good news, we gotta do a second side. So no worries, make your way to downward facing dog. If you wanna take that vinyasa option, go for it. Then walk your feet forward to meet your hands. Standing forward, fold. Inhale to reach your arms up overhead. And as you exhale, bring them down by your side. So you're here in Tadasana. We'll bend in your knees. We're going to do that Garudasana, eagle pose on the second side. Lift your left leg up. Cross your left leg over your right. Either squeeze your toes in or maybe they sneak around for that second wrap. Either way, you want that action of squeezing them in. Bring your arms up. And we went left leg over, so we're going left arm under. Bring the back of your palms to touch, or the front of your palms. Squeeze your legs, squeeze your arms together. Draw your elbows down towards your belly button, and draw your belly button in towards your spine. Yeah, you should really maybe feel that core now. If you weren't sure where it was, yeah, I think we found it now. All right, breathe here, you got it. This pose is doing like a whole bunch of things at once. We got core, we got balance, we got shoulders, we got hips. Breathe here. Then unfurl, untwist, unwind, shoot your left leg back, reach your arms alongside. You got it, airplane pose. Bring your hands down on the mat, lift that left leg up a little bit higher, standing split. And then a tricky transition, but once you got it, you pretty much got it. Bend your standing leg and bring your left knee towards your right pinky. Simple as that. And again, I'll scooch forward here. So you land something like this. That bottom leg can be straight or that bottom leg can be bent. So straight looks like this, and bent looks like this. Doesn't really make much of a difference for the twist that we got going on here. So whatever feels more comfortable for you. Sit up straight, shoulders away from your ears. Now we're twisting left. So bring your left hand back behind you, bring your right arm up, and press your right elbow into your right leg. Breathe. Untwist, unwind. Come on back to center. Unfurl, unstack your legs. And let's do our second round of boat pose. It's 2 up 2. That's the good news. So you can do this legs straight or legs bent. I'll give you the choice. This makes my legs look really super long. That's kind of cool. All right, trick of the camera. So draw your belly in. As you exhale, lower down so you hover. And inhale and lift. Exhale and lower. Inhale and lift. Exhale and lower. Inhale and lift. And again, you can do this with bend knees. So you can go bent to straight and back up to bend. Do 1 more. You got it. All right, cross your legs, step back, downward facing dog. So be our last, most likely, our last vinyasa, our last down dog of our practice. So make it count, or totally skip it, obviously your choice. And then let's all take a child's pose. So bring your knees down to the mat. Sit back on your heels. Stretch your arms out in front of you. This is a nice stretch for the back of our body. All right, so come forward. Come to sit. I'm going to say it that way. Come to sit, simple cross-legged position. Let's see, I'll scooch a little bit closer. Okay. So you want kind of a simple cross-legged position here. And this pose is a pose unto itself and it has a name. And I don't know it at the moment, so that's fair.
All right, so what we basically want to do is kind of build the foundation of the pose we're going to go to next, which is Ashtavakrasana. This one, the prep for it, but it's a lot of pose even into this. So we're here in a simple cross-legged position. I'm actually going to unstack my legs so you can see. And then, good big foundation, right? So you're going to spread your fingers, bring them outside of your hips. You can kind of see that, right? Here's my hands. Are pressing down outside of my hips, really big, really strong. And I got a long torso. That was fun in the 90s and early 2000s, right? So I got a long torso, so that means where I'm going next is a little more tricky for me, but what we're all trying to do here is press down into our hands to lift our butt and lift our feet off the mat. And to do that, we gotta shorten the distance between our hands and our hands and our shoulders or our upper body by drawing our belly in. So wherever we are, really focus on pulling your belly in and using your core to help lift. And I'll give you a few options to kind of play around with this so maybe we can all get a little bit of lift. Press down with your hands. First step is lift your butt up, then lift your legs up. Breathe here. You got it. Lift, lift, lift. Draw your belly in. Woo. Awesome. We're going to do a total of 3 of those. Yeah, it's a lot of core. That's really kind of the only way we're going to shorten that distance, right? And really get your butt up off the mat. So if your first step is really just with the feet down and the butt up, that's a great first step, and just really build that core, because pulling your legs off the ground doesn't really add anything else, right? As long as you're really using your core to help lift your butt. There's a few ways that we can make this feel a little more like we're getting somewhere. Either way, the core is a focus, but you know, let's make it look cool too. All right, so one of the ways is if you got full lotus in your practice or anything close to it, kind of stacking our feet up a little bit more. The more you can sort of, any way you kind of comfortably stack them on each other will help them lift off the ground, right? Because you got a little less that's dangling and hanging, right? So either way, big, great big firm foundation, spread your fingers, press them down into the mat, draw your belly in, lift your butt, lift your legs, lift it on high. So it's actually not supposed to be with these like lotus legs, right? But sometimes that feels like a little more lift for us. Ooh, lower it down. Option 3. Grab blocks, grab a couple stacks of books, even come up on your fingertips. It can be a little less stable on your fingertips, but again, we're trying to lengthen and maximize that difference. So I would say if you're starting with the blocks, start them on their lowest height, so they're even more stable. And we're adding height to the arms, so we got a little more room to play with getting some lift. So I'll do it on my fingertips. But what you're gonna do, press down into your hands, lift up, lift your butt, lift your legs, draw your belly in. Maybe you can kind of swing a little bit now that you've got that space. Yeah, lower your butt back down. All right, good work. So this is another option for you. If you'd like to pause it here and play with building a few more of those, you're gonna feel a lot of belly. As long as you're working that core, that's gonna be what gives you lift. If you're playing with blocks, if you're playing with on your fingertips, if you're crossing your legs in a weird way, totally works if it gives you that like, yeah, I'm lifting kind of sense of success. But either way, build that core. It's less about how high your butt gets and more about how much you use your core to get that butt up high. Let's hit a reset button. So let's take a seated forward fold. Stretch your legs out in front of you. Move the flesh away from your hips. Flex both feet. Lift your arms up. And let's go for a fold forward. Wherever your feet naturally land, wherever your hands naturally land is fine with me. Give me feet, ankles, calves, thighs. Take a breath. Whatever that last pose was for you, no worries. Let it go. All right, one back up. Let's do the opposite. Walk your hands back behind you, and your hands are down on the mat. So again, that good foundation. Spread your fingers wide, and I turn them so my fingertips are pointing away from my hips. Press down into your hands, lift your butt up, press your toes towards the mat. You can always do this with bent knees as well. But either way, we're going to just stretch through the front of our body. Lower your butt back down to the mat. All right. So now we're going to play with that pose I was mentioning earlier, Ashtavakrasana. It means crooked sage. What I like about this pose is it looks cool, for one. It's a little more accessible than it looks, which is actually the really neat part about it, because there's a lot of different body mechanics that play into it. So we're going to add a few elements like we did before, right? Those arms like they were in crow pose, where they made a nice shelf. That lift with our belly through the pose we just did. And a little bit of shoulder stretch
and a good bit of hip stretch as well. All right, so let's start like we did in staff pose. Actually, I remember this. All right, so bend your right leg, press the right foot down on the mat, and then lift your arms up, fold forward, like you're gonna grab a hold of your left foot. You can either grab a hold of your left foot, left leg, or wrap it around your right. But either way, we want to really kind of fold the inside of your right leg. Make sure your right foot is down on the mat. And you might have to, kind of make some space, maybe heel toe it away from your left. As you inhale, come on back up. Stay on this side. So you're gonna take a hold of your left foot. I'm sorry, it's your right foot. Take hold of your right foot, grab it in your left hand. So you got your foot in your left hand. You're gonna bring your right arm, your right hand underneath your right calf. Underneath your right calf. All right, it's been long. This is what quarantine's doing to me. So you got a good grip on your right leg, like you could shake some sense into it, right? And then your knee's gonna go back behind you, and you gotta wiggle that shoulder underneath your right leg. So ideally, like I would say, like you're putting on a backpack. Yeah, like it's that simple, right? But you wanna try to get your right leg above your right shoulder. Now that's a long way to go, right? Anywhere above your right elbow is fine. So if it looks something like this, as long as you're above your elbow, you got room to play in this pose. Higher works better-ish if you can get there, but anywhere above your right elbow will give you some room to play. So find your option. You're going above your right elbow, and you got to place that right hand down on the mat, super strong like we've been doing all class today, and bring your left hand down on the mat. So if you can hold your right leg there without it going anywhere, you're in good shape. If it slides down, maybe you didn't want to shave and lotion your legs last night, right? You can always throw a towel over it. But what you want to do is squeeze down, clamp down with your leg and squeeze it in. So it's going down and in towards your shoulder. From there, like we did before, press to lift. If you're here this great, you're doing great. Pull your belly in, cross your ankles, and keep your feet out to the side. Ashta Vakrasana. You got it. Breathe here. So you come back, straighten your arms, and land your butt. So again, this is another one if you want to pause and play around with this. Maybe rewind, tweak as you go. But again, it's really, your key points you want to know is getting that leg above your elbow. If it's below your elbow, you got no shelf to land it on, right? So above your elbow, squeeze it down, so without holding onto it, squeeze it in towards your shoulder. And from there, it's a good bit of core work to lift your butt, cross your ankles, and extend your legs out towards the corners, or yeah, towards the side, towards the corners of the screen that you can't see, right? All right, play around as much as you like. We got a second side to do. We'll do the second side slightly different, but really same idea. Just switch up the order of operations. All right, so our prep for it is right leg out, left leg down on the mat, and there's maybe, I don't know, 2 fist distance between my heel and my inner thigh. Reach your arms up, fold forward. So you want to fold inside of that left leg. You can either grab a hold of your right, or if you want to go for a little bit of a bind behind your back, reach your arms around. So you're wrapping around the inside of that left leg. Breathe here. All right, come on back to center. Let go of the leg. And let's grab a hold of the left leg. So bring your left heel to your right hand, or bring your right hand to your left heel, is maybe a better way of saying it. And get a good grip, so you grab it underneath your left calf with your left hand. So you'll shake some sense into that leg. Maybe you kind of give it a little bit of a swing, a sway here, instead of straight tall as you do it. You want to encourage that left hip to open. If it feels like your hips are still too tight in this pose, right, see if you kind of can work a little bit of that in here. Maybe you even want to grab a hold of the pinky edge of your foot and kind of hold it this way, gently swing and open. So any which way, if you're here with me, right, this is a great hip stretch. We want to just be mindful that we're not using our momentum too much, all right? So make sure you're moving within the confines of what works for your body. All right, come on back to center. So you got your right hand on your left heel, Left hand underneath you, and just like you're putting on a backpack, bring it up and over. You got it. Anywhere above your left shoulder, left shoulder or left elbow will work, especially that left elbow, right? Same idea. Squeeze it down so it's gonna clamp down and squeeze in. So if you think back to when we did crow pose with that kind of thigh master variation, same idea, you wanna squeeze it in. If you can let go of that leg without it sliding down your arm like a puddle, you're in good shape. From there, big strong hands are gonna make a good foundation. And on the other side, we lifted and then hooked our ankles. You can do the reverse. So if it's easier, cross your ankles first, or if you just wanna play with something different, then work on getting your butt off the mat. If your butt leaves the mat, straighten your legs out. Breathe here. So you try to go with both elbows straight and even, and that's where I kind of lose it. Come on back to center. I'll show it again. So you get your left leg high up on your left arm, above your left elbow, and your left hand's about by your left hip. Squeeze it down. As long as it's squeezing down and not sliding off your arms and above your elbows will make a shelf. Cross your ankles. You can also lift first. Cross your ankles, lift your butt, and swing it forward, straighten your legs. You got it. All right, come on back to center. Good work. So if you want to keep playing there with more variations, more play around with that pose is Ashtavakrasana. Go ahead and hit pause. If you're ready to continue on with our practice, let's keep going. Let's do another seated forward fold real quick. So legs out in front of you, arms up alongside your ears, and go ahead and fold forward. Breathe here. On your inhale, come on back up, lie back on your back. So bend your knees, lie on your back, and then bring your knees out about as wide as the mat and knock your knees in towards each other. Did a good bit of core, which might feel like you feel more in your low back, so gently windshield way through your knees side to side. And then next time your knees come to the right, drop them off to the right. Maybe you want to bring your right foot on top of your left leg and reach your arms out to the side and gaze over your left shoulder. Unstack your legs, bring your knees back up to center. And if you want a little 1-2 windshield wiper, go for it. And then this time do the opposite side. So when your knees come to the left, drop them over to the left. Maybe bring your left foot on top of your right knee and gaze over your right shoulder. Simple recline twist. Your legs back up to center. Bend both knees out to the side. Reach inside of your legs. Take a hold of the pinky edges of your feet for a happy baby. And again, it might feel nice to kind of rock side to side here. Then bring your feet down to the mat. Let's do one final hip stretch. We did a good bit of hips today, but this might feel a nice way to round it out. So cross your right leg over your left. So your right ankle is below your left knee. Then you make that little triangle. Reach your right hand through the triangle and interlace behind your left leg. Draw your knees in towards your body. So you can customize here as much as you want to come in or go out. And be gentle, right? Your hips did a lot today, so find what feels like a supportive stretch for those hips. Release that side, switch sides. Cross your left ankle below your right knee. Reach your left hand through the triangle and interlace around your right. Then release your right leg. Bend both knees, squeeze your knees in towards your chest. And again, if you want any little rock and roll along your spine. And curling into a nice little small ball here. And if there's any last poses, any final movements you would like to make here on your back to complete your practice, now's your chance. Simply pause me and come back when you're ready. If you're ready for Shavasana, extend your feet out towards the corners of your mat. Bring your palms by your side and allow them to face up towards the ceiling. So Shavasana is our final relaxation pose. And it's nice here to take this moment of stillness, whether it's the chaos in our lives or maybe a lot of chaos in our bodies from this practice or otherwise, and enjoy the stillness. I invite you to remain here in Shavasana, but if you would prefer to join me in a seated meditation, that works as well. Just any simple seated position will do. And we'll sit here for a few minutes, enjoying the stillness in our bodies and in our practice. And I'll keep track of the time and let you know. If you're in Shavasana, I invite you to wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Bring some movement back to your body. It might feel good to reach your arms up overhead and take a good morning stretch. And when you're ready, bend your knees and roll onto your right side. Then press your hands down into the mat, press yourself up, come to a comfortable seated position. Close your eyes and bring your palms together. I invite you to seal off your practice with the sound of one final Om. Inhale.
Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me here in my dining room, and stay tuned for more offerings from Nava Yoga. Thanks.